Boyfriend, 29M, turned off location while out with his coworkers. I, 26F, have the urge to break up with him. How do I think of this logically? I, 26F, have been dating my boyfriend, 29M, for a little over a year now. A few months ago, I went through his phone and found out he'd been regularly working out with one of his female friends in his apartment gym and inviting her over afterwards to eat and chat. I confronted him, and he lied about it until I straight up told him I went through his phone. For context, this girl has been friends with him since college, and he admitted to me before that he had a hunch this girl had feelings for him. Looking at their messages, you could see subtle flirting on her end. He wouldn't entertain them, but he didn't stop or call her out on them either. Anyways, he swears nothing inappropriate ever happened, and I guess I kind of believe him because he has experienced being cheated on by an ex-partner of 8 years, which resulted in him abruptly ending that relationship. He convinced me to stay, saying that he'll be radically honest and will work hard to rebuild trust. Honestly, the months after have been problem after problem. I already have trust issues to begin with because of my past relationship. He knew this and still did things behind my back. Because of this, he often blames my insecurities on me, as if he never did anything to make things infinitely worse. Presently, he leaves for a 5-day trip. Day before he gets back, I suggest we go out and do something fun since it's been a while since we've seen each other. He leaves me on read. He tells me the next night he planned a dinner with his coworkers. I check his location and see that it was turned off the moment he told me he was at the dinner. It's been 3 hours, almost 4. I'm probably just overthinking it and acting crazy because I have trust issues. His phone could have very well just turned off. But I feel like a considerate boyfriend who claims he wants to rebuild trust would have told me that his phone was out of battery. He still isn't back yet, and I can feel myself boiling in anger, fear, and anxiety. I want to control my feelings and just trust him, but I don't know how. I know the moment he walks through that door, if he ever does, I'm going to be extremely cold, suspicious, and accusatory. I don't know what to do. I feel like I should have never tried to make things work. You don't have to prove he cheated to break up with him. Do it because you know you can't trust him. If you're going to spend your whole relationship with him checking his phone and not trusting him, you may as well move on. Well, if you have to track him, then what's the point of staying? My 19F boyfriend 19M said I have a white savior complex. Do I really? I hope this is the sub for this, sorry if not. He's Hispanic, and I'm obviously white BTW. I'm very privileged and lucky to have everything I do, but I try to not let that influence my opinions or how I treat people. I'm going to try my hardest not to get political on here, but that's what the whole conversation was about. I'm sorry again. Somehow we got on the topic of ICE and how they're harmful, and he says something to the effect of, I don't like ICE, but I agree with them deporting illegals. So that got him started on how POC crying about being oppressed need to stop having a victim complex and just work harder. Also that white people aren't actually more privileged. He based it on his grandparents coming here as legal immigrants that built themselves up to be successful, which his family is very much so. I was astounded and thought that was insane and told him the problems with that along with other things. And suddenly he pauses and says, "You have a white savior complex." And when I just sit there with a blank expression, he busted out laughing. I hung up and he calls me back with a "Did I upset you?" Later, after we already said, "I'm right, you're wrong," and that's okay. I asked if he really meant it. First he refused to tell me because we already left the argument alone, but I wanted to know if that's actually what he thought of me. After I begged him to just tell me, he goes, "No, just a lot of your opinions line up with one." Then he, with no further questions despite not wanting to start this again, goes on about why he thinks that, and once I wanted to respond, he says he doesn't want to talk about it anymore. I feel like I'm genuinely going insane because I have no right to tell him about his own experiences, but I see what's going on in the world. Do I actually have a WSC for this? If so, I want to fix it, but I thought I was being genuinely outraged for people. I'm not sure anymore. Being opposed to what I see is doing does not mean you have a white savior complex. But your boyfriend knows that's a quick way to shut you up, so he played his trump card, so to speak. As soon as I heard POC crying about being oppressed, need to stop having a victim complex and just work harder, would be the moment I run for the hills LOL. I don't like ICE, but I agree with them deporting illegals. Don't even engage with this brain rot. Get out. Is my 23 male boyfriend setting me, 22 female, Up for future financial failure? Per the title, I feel like my boyfriend may be setting me up for financial failure. I am saying this not because he's financially incompetent, but because he's so smart that I think he has already started setting himself up without me, and now I'm nervous. My boyfriend and I have been together of 7 years. Around year 3, my boyfriend convinced me to start a joint savings account. We weren't living together at the time, but it was so we would be able to start saving for a house, since we essentially agreed this is what we really wanted for each other. Through the years, we have each pulled from the savings, and of course we always talk to each other about how much and why. I think because of this savings account, we have been able to keep an eye on each other and our contributions financially. I would say we have equally contributed to this account, but the same can go for taking money out, car problems, unaccounted student debts, etc. We have agreed that the only time we pull from it is when an emergency happens, except for the few times my boyfriend has taken money to put into stocks. This doesn't happen often, only when he shows me what stock he wants to invest in and some decent backup as to why he wants to / why it's important to invest at that moment. Each time he has done this, it has been very successful. Each time my boyfriend says, let's leave that money in there. Each time he goes from saying our stocks to my stocks. My boyfriend has always said that the money in his stocks would help fund our retirement and hopefully set our kids up in the future. He comes from decent wealth, I come from upper-lower class. But he also talks about what his stocks can get him, what he can do with them, and how he wants to trade with them. He talks more possessively over his stocks compared to how I talk about my retirement and personal savings. I see those as an investment into our future. Truthfully, how he talked before never bothered me, not until he asked to take from our savings tonight. My boyfriend did the same thing he normally does when he proposes a stock, except this time he wanted to take a lot of money. This made me feel uncomfortable as it wasn't for an emergency, so I gave him some pushback. He got annoyed, and so I jokingly say, fine, but you have to sign a written agreement that if we break up I get 15% of the stock. Never in our entire relationship has he changed his facial expression into such disgust like he did in that moment. I kid you not, he looked me dead in the eyes and said, I will do anything for you, but never ask me for money. Ever. And it made me instantly feel so uncomfortable and like I did something evil. Pretty quickly I got annoyed as I realized that would be my money too. I contributed to the savings, therefore he's using our money, and it should be an OURS thing, not just him. I said something similar to that as a rebuttal, but then he told me that was not the case. This was his account, and his money in these stocks, though he did reiterate, it will go towards our retirement though. I just don't want you to ask for it, or try to take it. I'm nervous that I might be getting set up for financial failure if I allow him to do this any longer, if this is his mindset. It also makes me scared that once we do get married, if we ever divorce for any reason, that he's not going to let me leave with anything even if I contributed. I've never once looked at my boyfriend for financial reasons. In fact, for the first 2 years of our relationship, I was the only one with a job, so I paid for everything. Yes, it was high school time, but I still funded it. I don't know if I'm just overthinking this situation, or if I'm just now realizing I may have been investing into my boyfriend's pockets instead of ours as a couple. He's not setting you up for financial failure. He's grooming you for financial abuse. Stay with him, and in about 10-15 years, you will be working full-time, yet begging him for money to buy groceries, or to be able to go see the dentist. That never ask me for money line is a huge red flag when he's literally using your joint savings for his stocks. Stop letting him pull from that account for investments if he wants to invest. He uses his own money. I feel like you're being set up for a life of financial control. I, 23 female, think my mom, 56 female, is being inappropriate with me. What do y'all think? For context, me and my mom have always had a very good relationship, especially in middle school after my dad became significantly more emotionally abusive to both of us. My dad has a slew of things wrong with him, including being a major hoarder, which had pushed him away from both of us on top of everything else. My family's house that I currently live in, finding a job in my field is difficult, I have little funds. Please don't shame me for this, is filled to the brim with random garbage, and it makes it very hard for me and my mother to live with him. He makes our lives miserable in many ways, but this is one of the big ones. This, on top of the abuse, and the fact that I don't have siblings, has made me and my mother our only confidants. And because of this we are very close. We talk about my dad a lot because his moods control our days, And often my dad will be away for periods of time, which leaves the both of us to talk and vent. I've talked about this in therapy before, but I do feel somewhat protective of my mom when it comes to my dad. I think over the years he's broken her down enough emotionally where I don't know if she'll ever leave him. Because I feel so protective of her, I try to be understanding and let her talk about her and my dad more than I should probably allow. She listens to me rant. I know that's different, but it can also be validating to know his behaviors don't just affect me. And I've noticed in particular, especially when my dad is away, or in one of his moods, my mom becomes especially reliant on me in ways I'm not particularly comfortable with. Don't get me wrong, I love my mom, and I want to be there to support her. She doesn't have siblings either, and she just has my grandma, who probably won't be living much longer. But I feel like sometimes she uses me as a replacement for intimacy that she isn't getting from my dad. I don't want anyone to freak out. She's never touched me, or anything like that. But sometimes she kisses me, and it's too long, too slow, too soft. And sure, these could just be affection, but sometimes it feels wrong. When I was a teenager, she wanted to kiss me on the lips, but I didn't like that, and it took a minute to get her to stop going for it, expecting it, or asking for it. Sometimes she kissed me on the neck, and I didn't like it then either, so I would just shove her away and she'd pout, but then eventually move on. And recently my dad's been getting in his moods again, and the hoarding has gotten pretty bad again. But he's been staying out of the house for longer periods of time, and in that time, I've been trying to clear some of the boxes away. 2-5 every week, slowly, so he won't notice. My mom and I have kind of conspired together this way, but we both know there's no way he'll notice. And in this time, my mom has repeatedly said things like, "My hero," and that kind of stuff, which is fine, I guess, but whatever. Yesterday and today she's kissed me, on my face. Yesterday I noticed but kind of brushed it off, but today, she went in to kiss my nose. When she walked over to me, I could kind of tell what was going to happen, so when she kissed my nose and began to linger and breathe heavier, I pushed her off, light-heartedly, went "ew," and moved on. She pouted, but didn't say anything. I don't want anyone to think this is constant or anything. It's usually just when things are weird with my dad, and it doesn't happen often. It doesn't matter if someone else says, "My mom kisses my nose," and it's not weird, or whatever. You feel uncomfortable. You don't like it. You've told her to stop, and she keeps doing it. That's inappropriate. Maybe divert her to someone else. You are strong. Just hang in there. Give her a hint or something.